So today we're just going to do a little feedback on managing your customer feedback. So hopefully by the end of it, you'll have some tools and you might be able to approach how you deal with feedback a little bit differently in the future. Cool. So customer feedback should really guide your decision making and inform your long-term plan. And generally when we receive feedback, you have two kinds of customers, right? There are the really happy ones that have had a great experience, they love your product, 5 stars. And then you have the really angry ones that maybe they've had a bad experience, maybe they bought a faulty toaster and they're not very happy with you. So with this kind of feedback, it's generally really hard to kind of cut through the noise with these polarizing views and get really honest opinions and really know what to action with this kind of feedback. So at Tanda, we ask ourselves 3 questions when analysing our customer feedback. So first off, do we know what the customer is really asking for? That's really important. Then, does the customer represent our entire consumer base? And lastly, does it align with our company vision or long-term plan? Cool. So what is the customer actually asking for? A great way to go about this is something called the 5 whys. Because sometimes you need to ask why more than once. Usually when a customer gives feedback, and particularly if they're the really angry customer, they'll give you very specific feedback as to what you did wrong that caused them to have a bad experience. But sometimes it can be really vague and you need to ask that question. So the 5 whys is really good to get to the root cause of your problem, especially when feedback is a bit ambiguous. And sometimes customers might say one thing but mean another. So again, why asking why is really important. So basically how it works is the customer will give feedback, you ask why, dig deep, find the root cause, and then you eventually lead to the actual need or what the customer is actually asking for. So we'll just go through a bit of a example scenario here. So let's just say I run a small pizza company. We specialise in gourmet, freshly oven-baked pizzas. We're too small to offer online ordering, and our customers need to come into the store to order their pizzas. Recently, we issued a customer survey comparing our pizzas to other fast food items, and this was one of the responses. I don't like pizza. Pretty vague, right? Everyone likes pizza. Why don't you like pizza? So now let's just go ahead and quickly apply the 5 whys and see how we can really dig deep and understand why this customer doesn't want to buy pizza from us. So, I don't like pizza. Why don't you like pizza? They might say, ordering pizza takes so much time and effort. Why does it take too much time and effort? I have to drive to the store, got to order it, and then wait, and then drive all the way home. Why is that a problem for you? I don't want to leave my home. Maybe they're feeling a bit lazy. Why don't you want to leave your home? Because I'm hosting a party and I don't want to miss out on the fun, right? That could be a really valuable insight that you're missing out on if you don't keep asking why. And in this kind of scenario, you get 2 really key insights out of this. So firstly, the customer here has almost given us a bit of a solution. So while we can't afford to have online ordering, what we could do is partner with Uber or something like that, so the customers call up, order their pizza, and still, get it delivered. And secondly, this is a really good marketing insight as well. If this is a really common sort of scenario, we could include this in our marketing to really tap into that need and, just have more successful marketing campaigns. Cool. So you guys all have a little 5 whys sheet in front of you. I guess for the next 5 minutes, I just want you to consider a really vague or kind of common feedback that you get from your customers and just try and put yourself in their shoes and keep asking why. So if they think you're overpriced, pretend that you're the customer and imagine why would that customer think that it's overpriced? And hopefully that gets you a really insightful answer. Again, of course, you're not really speaking to a customer, but it's just to get you, in that frame of mind. Cool. Off you go. Cool, guys. So one thing that I forgot to mention was you don't necessarily have to ask why 5 times. If you only ask 3 times and you get to the solution, that's great. Cool. So now we're just going to move on to personas. So this helps us answer the question, does the customer represent our entire consumer base? So personas are very similar to a target market, but they're a lot more detailed and very behavioral focused. So they're more of like a representation of a user based on qualitative data. So personas, when combined with feedback, help us better understand their feedback because we can more understand their behavior, their logic, their values, and all that. And they also help us work out which customers we want to satisfy and which ones we want to delight, and which customers are most profitable. Oh no, they're missing slides. Oh no. It's a bit hard to explain because the slide's missing. Is it anywhere in here? Nope, definitely not there. Yeah, okay, I'll just explain it anyway. So, do we all have this sheet here? It's a bit hard to explain without my example slide, but that's okay. So basically what you want to do is kind of consider your key target demographics, but more based on behavioural. So the example that was in my slides was for so let's just say a store like Harvey Norman, like a hypothetical store. So you might have 3 different key target markets. So the first one might be the big spenders. So this is your kind of customer that they want the best TV. They want the best, appliance, better than their neighbour. Like they spend big, they go out, they want the biggest and the greatest, the most expensive. So that could be like one target market. And with these, it's really important to include like a goal and an anxiety. So your goal for the big spender might be, they want the latest and greatest TV or whatever it is that they're buying. An anxiety might be, their neighbour has a better TV, like, for example. Then you might have another target market, maybe they're more tech savvy. So before they even come to the store, they already know everything about the computer or the game or whatever it is that they want to buy. And their anxiety is that when they go into the store, they don't want to be bothered by a salesperson. They just want to go in, get the product, get out. So when you're looking at these 2 target markets, it's really hard to explain without the example.
You're doing well.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's just say there's a third example. Again, would be a lot easier if the slide was there. So your third target market is, let's just call them the super savers. They're like very frugal. They only come to your store when there's like a sale. So even though they may not necessarily like make a huge part of your profit, they're still a important customer. So when you look at these 3 customers, you've got the customer that spends a lot, the customer that's tech savvy but they don't want to be bothered by a salesperson, and then you've got the customer that they just want to bargain, and again, they don't want to be bothered by a salesperson because they don't want to be like upsold or they don't want to have to spend more. So when you look at these 3 like personas, you can kind of work out which ones you want to satisfy and delight. So obviously the big spenders, that they want the best and greatest of everything, they're the people that you want to delight, and you just want to satisfy the other 2 personas. Yeah. So for each of the personas, really consider like a goal and anxiety that they have. Yeah. Yeah, based on your own examples. So from your own company, try and think of like, separate your consumers into like 3 key like behavioural demographics. So it might be like how much they spend, maybe they have different goals, and then just try and categorise them based on their goal and anxiety. We should add the example. Yeah, basically, so at the top you just write like the persona, so you can give it a name, and then in the list write like a goal or need or want, and an anxiety for each. Yeah. So the idea here is just to more like start to understand your customers. That way, when you're reading the feedback, you can kind of understand, where they're coming from. So like the customer that doesn't want to be bothered by a salesperson, you could look at that and go, okay, cool, I'll tell my salespeople to back off a little bit. But you don't want to do that because your target market that, does want to spend a lot of money and does want to speak to those salespeople, they wouldn't like that. And they're probably, giving you most of your profit. So yeah, maybe spend like just under 10 minutes or so trying to like categorize your target market based on like their goals and needs.
Yeah, and just to, I guess, touch further on what Brooke was saying, the way that we use this at Tanda is we've got, I guess, different types of users that use Tanda right through from obviously like the employees to a shift level manager to more of like a venue manager. Then you might have like an ops person, a payroll person, a business owner. So we're able to sort of categorize them based on their role, their motivations and what they're trying to do at work. We base the functionality that they're sort of enabled to have around that. And, as we go out and talk to customers, our picture of what each persona in those categories looks like gets strengthened. We learn more about them, and that sort of informs the way that we design our features. So we have a good idea of someone who, might be sort of like a fair manager, the sort of, I guess, things that they want to achieve, the things that they want to be able to see in the product, and that informs the way that we, I guess, market it to them and other things like that. But I think the same is applicable to any business. It's just about kind of trying to categorise your user groups and use that in your marketing and the way that maybe you design your sales or whatever it is.
Awesome, guys. So how do we go with that? I know it was a bit hard to explain without the example on the board for you guys, but hopefully you can now begin to sort of understand the way that your consumers like behave and think. Cool. So the last one, moving on to company vision. So does the feedback align with your company vision? So this is really important because you want to do what aligns with your brand story and your company vision. This way you can create like a really strong brand image and stay authentic. It's really good to stick to principles over easy wins, especially when it comes to feedback. So this is a really good case study. So this is Jasmine. So she owns a really successful gourmet sauces company called Roses, and she definitely doesn't let feedback get in the way of achieving her company vision. So hopefully the example is here. No, it's not. Very annoying, once again. But anyway, so her company is all about being, authentic, staying real, homemade's mum recipes, all those kind of things. And one really common feedback she gets from her customers is they want cheaper prices. They want discounts, they want to be cheaper, and she says no. She's like, we're a premium product, we're not going to lower our prices. She always gets people saying, you could go to plastic jars instead of glass jars, and she's like, no. She's like, that's not me. Plastic jars are not authentic at all. So if you guys can now look at your product vision worksheet. So you can kind of see here in the bottom left-hand corner, I want you guys to write down, maybe your vision statement or just some company values in the bottom left-hand corner. So for Roses, it might be like authenticity and things just about being genuine. And then you can see if it fits within like this little bit here, this is where you want to like place your feedback. Can you hold that? So you just want to sort of pop your feedback on this little diagram here and see where it fits. So if it aligns with your vision and your values, you want to put it in here. So like where the little dude is like looking through his little telescope. And if it's like outside it, you need to, so put it outside the vision. And that's something that you should avoid and not action. Whereas you want to be actioning the feedback that's aligned with your company vision. Cool. Do we have any? Oh, yeah.
And just to touch on what we use a similar sort of thing at Tanda. And I think Alex touched on it this morning. The three, I guess, product principles that we try to make decisions by are making sure that the features we're doing are improving efficiency, making sure that they're going to be I guess, improving trust, or at least not breaking down trust between employees and employers, and also improving connectedness between employees and the business. So if we get, ideas coming through and we feel as though they're really going to break down trust between employees and employers, then it's an easy thing for us to be like, well, no, we don't want to build that into the product. So it's the same sort of thing that we're trying to showcase here.
Yeah, that's basically it. So I think we have about maybe 5 more minutes or so. Yep, cool, for the workshop. So if you guys just want to write down some common feedback or maybe just general plans or goals that you have for the company, write them down on a little diagram and see whether they fit within or outside your business vision. Hey guys, we're going to have to cut that activity a little bit short, might go over time. So that basically concludes our customer feedback workshop today. Did you guys... So to wrap up, it's really good to understand the actual needs of your customer. You've got to understand your target personas so you can know where they're coming from with their feedback. And you always want to make sure you're aligning, what you do with your company vision. So, do we have any questions around feedback?
Maybe some examples that you guys wrote down on your paper? Anyone willing to be a guinea pig and go through what they had? Yeah?
Okay then, so with the vision statement, we're from a RSL club out west. So we put family environment and affordable. And then from that, complaints and different things that we've got. Staff are rude, the club's too cold, meals are too big, where we put... Yes, our meals... we do cop it all the time, our meals are too big, but we put that as outside the vision and inside the vision. As taking it as a positive and a negative, where we can downside our meals because they're still affordable, and our meals are value for money. Like, we always get our meals are value for money. Other ones that we haven't written down but we also had was, we've got staff that are too friendly. Like, we have one lady that's Mary Poppins, hi, and a few old people don't like that because of the pitch of their voice. And then we've got other staff that are too quiet or they're too young. What I've done with that, with staff meetings, we try and have them every 3 months, where I've had one girl, we have, for our country town, we're actually very multicultural as well. So that is a bit of a, being country, they like their set ways, and wait there, you've got dark skin, what are you doing working here? And are you a Kiwi or a Cook Islander? Or we've had South Africans and they're just like their meat, veg. And anyway, we've got them to the point where they now can't pronounce people's names. So we have nicknames, and they're happy to pronounce people's nicknames because they're big on, hey Joe, hey Sam. They turn around and go, hey Medica, and they go, what? Hey Em. So, but what we've done is, where I've had junior staff and senior staff, where I have a shy junior staff, we put it with Mary Poppins to get the balance where we don't want Mary Poppins all the time, so she needs to tone it down, and this one needs to come up. So, like, do work little one-on-ones with different staff with different personalities to get them to work together. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you everyone so much for coming. We're really keen for feedback.